Jordan, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you think death actually had or only shadows?
No. Oh, actually, okay. So at the beginning, no, but actually when they have their moment, he is Silas. Well, in Silas, you know what I mean? When the human form of Silas.
Nuh-uh. The second time? Because they do it for sure once. I have so many notes on it, but they do it for sure once where a penne pasta is never mentioned. Only his shadows touch her thighs. And then there's just a lot of like light, a vague verbiage of him on top.
It's very,
and then there's we don't get the velvet steel. We don't get the quivering member. We don't get any.
Did you really just say velvet steel?
Yes, but that is from a book, Velvet Steel, where it's like, isn't it like steel wrapped in velvet?
I mean, yes, like I've heard
Steel
the phrase.
Yes.
It's just, I didn't expect you to ever say it out loud to me. To my face.
We got nada. We don't know what, but maybe you're right. Yeah. Maybe we just super spoiled the book.
Just dive right in.
We did just
the big energy.
Big in energy.
Well, we wouldn't know. It's a shadow.
True. We wouldn't know. It's a shadow. Again, questions, but you're right. He probably has to be in a human corporal form. I also, don't judge me, but those shadows sound like they could come in handy. Not to truly traumatize you and the listeners, but I mean, think about it.
I just immediately thought of in Full Metal Alchemist, you know, when you meet Pride's other form and the hands all come out. Yes. That's what I thought of the second you said those shadows will come in handy, is the creepy Pride crawling.
Okay, that's not what I was envisioning. That's not what I was thinking of.
You pervert.
I
honestly did not go there immediately. I did think like, okay, this is like yet another strongly worded paragraph.
Like just a quick little blip. A quick little, I mean.
Like it was one of those paragraphs that I like was like, wait a minute. And like reread it and was like, I felt like I was deducing a clue. Or like, what's the right way to put that? I felt like I was like trying to uncover the mystery of what it is they did together.
I know. That's why I was like, A, don't know what body parts he has. 2, I guess he's really cold.
Maybe 3, he's one of the Ice Planet barbarians and he's got this fur.
Maybe. Or he's a Ken doll and he only has shadows.
Oh no
is right. Oh no is. So should we introduce the book we've been talking about?
I think we should introduce ourselves first.
Okay.
All right. I'm Jordan.
I'm Sheridan.
And together we're Sippin on Spice podcast.
And we treat these like a girls' night. So once a week, Jordan and I get together and we review a book that we've recently read. Our thoughts do get unhinged, as you heard earlier. So you might want to grab a beverage for this.
Yep, and we're going to rate everything on a star scale, so 1 to 5, as to how good we thought the book was, as well as a penne scale. We'd use this instead of a spice scale, because if you can picture penne pasta, you can picture what we're after.
Yes, and this week we are reviewing Belladonna by Adalyn Grace.
Yes. Okay, dive right into summary.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'll just do it
Taylor
real quick.
Swift Eras tour dive.
Are you ready for it? Bum, 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 bum. Okay.
Wait, why did it take on a banjo quality towards the end there? You started off with a strong bass and then you remixed it into Deliverance.
Taylor Swift, call me for the remix.
No, just kidding. Listen, Taylor's version isn't out yet. I do consult.
Right, exactly. Maybe we'll get a bluegrass version. But okay, so summary of this book. Belladonna. So basically our female protagonist, from a very early age, her entire family passes away. So she's an orphan growing up. That's something that's really unique and special about her, is pretty much she can't. So she keeps taking, but everyone around her pretty much dies for a different reason or another. And so she's seen death as a character since she was a child. And as she grows up, she takes these belladonna poison berries, because then she gets to this point where she should die from the poison, but she doesn't. And then she's able to see him. And then basically her whole goal up until she kind of grows and discovers herself is she just really wants to probably have a stable family, because she goes from family member to family member. They're also not great to her. And then
they just want her money, because she comes from a very wealthy family. So she gets like a super expensive, almost like an allowance that they pay them, it sounds like. Pretty much all of her caretakers were just in it for the money.
Yep. And then she really wants to be, this actually made me think of Bridgerton. She really wants to be like a refined lady of society and get married and all these things. But she can basically see dead people and help them pass on.
She is Bruce Willis. Or wait, no. Was it the kid?
The kid.
I don't know the kid's name. I went in hot on a reference I didn't have.
I could just see his face. I see dead. Yes, anyways, exactly. Yes. She sees dead people. And what I absolutely adored about this book, it was so unique, refreshing to me. I ate it up. It was a murder mystery. And I love murder mysteries.
Yeah, it was such an interesting, different type of read. Like, I went into it, and I think knowing it was like a little bit of fantasy, I knew that it had something to do with her and death. But again, I typically go into these mostly blind. And it drew me in right away. I was instantly like, oh my God, where are we going with this? And especially her towing the line with Silas and Death.
Yes.
I felt like, okay, so one of my bullet points was, I feel like Silas and Death are the same, but I have no actual proof.
I wrote that down too, because he said in 2 days' time, I'll pick you up. And then Silas, or in 2 days' time, I'll prove it to you. 2 days' time, I'll prove it to you. Way back in the beginning. And then Silas shows up in a carriage. So I was like, somehow he's the dude.
Oh my God, you just blew my mind. Because I did think that at first, but then he like totally ignored her. So I was like, never mind. And I just kind of like wrote it off. And so it just like never, but oh my God.
Right, because I was like, oh, they've got to be. But then I convinced myself of that in the beginning. But in the middle, I did be like, maybe not. Because he kept saying, I thought actually he was maybe banging Lillian. Like, I thought maybe Silas, like, it was a lover of hers, because he kept saying someone very close to me, I'm helping her. He was very, like, vague on how. That was when I knew.
Because he was helping her. She was the one who was helping. That was like one of those small, subtle, but again, that's not proof. That's just like a little phrase you threw at me. The only thing, the point where I officially turned around, Death tells her that he's going to pick her up at midnight. And then Silas, a couple hours later, says, I'm going to pick you up at 11. And I was like, we're not double booking. I can feel that we're not double booking.
Real close.
And his trade-offs were perfect. Timing.
True. No overlap. True. I have so many points to talk about all this. I want to start at the beginning to chronologically go.
Beginning, a very good place to start.
Yes, beautiful. Bravo.
I was in The Sound of Music, actually.
Is that from The Sound of Music?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I just thought you were singing me a lovely little song.
It's do, re, mi, do, a deer. It's the intro to
I can't strongly tell you I've seen The Sound of Music. Can't strongly tell you that I've actually watched that movie. I'm so sorry.
I'm just gonna try to bury that thought. It used to be my favorite, dude. It used to be my favorite movie growing up. Yes, but okay, get this. So then I got a little bit older, and I remember like it gets to the part where they're running from which obviously you don't know because you haven't watched this movie. But it's like a much longer movie than I remember. So when I'm watching it, I get a little bit older, and all of a sudden they're running from and all these like darker things happen. And I was like, I don't remember this. I'm pretty sure my parents did what Phoebe's mom did, where they just like shut it off. They're like,
it ends here. It doesn't go. That's so funny.
Like, did they only show me tape 1 until I was old enough? And they're like, okay, she could process the trauma of the Holocaust now.
That is, you should ask your parents.
I know, yeah. I guess I just didn't. I don't know why. I just accepted. I was just like, funny. I remember sitting there being like, I don't remember anything.
Like, this is totally new to me. This is a completely. But back to the beginning. Yes. Did you get a little bit
this whole tangent because you said let's start at the beginning.
Right, let's start at the beginning.
Oh, welcome to Sippin on Spice.
Exactly. Did you get a little bit rhapsodic vibes at the beginning?
Oh my God, yes. I'm glad you said that because my sister's voice was in my head going, groomer.
It was a little weird.
But it was, but then I think the reason I felt it was less weird is because they don't really interact.
No.
She just knows he's there, and it's an obscurity, but then he makes a comment about waiting for her. And that's when I was like,
yeah, I mean, it's a little icky, but I definitely just had to like kept going because I loved the book. When I was explaining this book to my husband, I was like, I was obsessed. I loved it. I love the murder mystery. I don't know that I love the romance between the two of them.
I want to talk about that at the end.
Okay, let's
because I really liked Death for most of the book, but I have more to say on that.
Okay. Oh, we gotta talk about that ending. Yes. Okay. And then I kind of went on a trajectory as well after I was kind of like, this is a little like he knew her as a kid, and I guess he's ageless. But his whole thing is that she's really the only human or any creature that he can actually touch because everyone else will die. Obviously, he's Death, but she is, spoiler alert, a Reaper as well. She doesn't know until much later in the book that she gets her powers. She comes into her power. But before we got to there and that kind of explained, I wrote down two things like back to back. One, was she going to be like Lady Death? And she kind of was. And then two, I was worried we were going One Dark Window path. And I was like,
he wasn't
I can't
real.
do that again. Yeah, I can't do that again. I'm sorry. No
Rachel really put you through the ringer.
She really did. I think a lot of people really enjoyed One Dark Window, and it was a really good book, and we did enjoy it as well. I was severely disappointed in the ending. So I was a little worried. Death was going to be kind of like the nightmare, and we weren't really going to get that romantic payoff. I don't know. Those are thoughts I had.
So my initial fear actually up front was that Elijah wanted her there as like a bride, because that was my biggest fear at first, because they there was a lot of weird things, and now I know that it was Death implying death, but like when he's as Silas, and she was like said something about like she has nowhere better to be, and he said something along the lines of like if there was anywhere else I could take you, I would. And like a little comment like that. So I thought, oh my God, is she being like teed off because Lillian died to marry this guy?
And she said she looked like her because Lillian was her relations, her family. And they said they kind of looked alike. That's an interesting point. That was my biggest
fear.
Okay.
Until, especially when she ran into him at the chess time. When she goes downstairs and he's playing chess and she's pretending like she didn't just sneak out and he wants to play chess with her.
Yes.
I was, when she first saw him, my immediate thought was, oh my God, he's going to come on to her right now. Like I was so scared. That's where we were going. That Elijah's character was almost like a relief. Like I feel like I ended up liking him a lot more than I should, because
you were like, he just wasn't a creepy ankle. Okay. My fourth bullet point, literally fourth one. Percy's Marjorie's son, because she immediately makes a point to talk about her hair. She is this gorgeous, seductress, strawberry blonde hair. And then when she first meets Percy, literally she calls it out and she says, his hair's not like everyone else's. It's a cross between red and blonde. And I'm like, well, that's strawberry blonde, baby. And they're related.
I knew... I didn't know Percy was her son at first, because I thought everybody would have remembered Lillian not being pregnant. So I thought that I kind of literally immediately brushed it off because of that, because I would think like that would be gossip. I did presume that Elijah and Marjorie had a relationship once she started talking about how, like, telling her backstory. Saying like, oh, I was in love with this guy, he fell in love with her, and I was ruined. And I was like, oh my God. And then he hired you as his nanny. Oh my God.
Can you, the audacity.
To raise your child.
And it was her child, like Percy was hers, and she had to like, can you imagine the mental somersaults you'd have to do to go through that?
Yucky.
Like
all
crazy.
Yucky.
Crazy. No wonder Percy was so mad. Now, I was so invested in this whodunit murder mystery. I was shocked that Lillian that starts the book, the whole mystery, was Percy. I knew he was Marjorie's son. I didn't see it coming.
No, I I was waffling back between Marjorie and Byron, which was so predictable. I know. And and that's kind of how I felt, is I was like, either this is going to be the most predictable book ever, or I'm an idiot.
Or it's going to be a good twist.
Yeah. And so like I went through the phases where I said like, okay, it's so basic of me, but I think Marjorie did it. She wanted Lillian's place and is leaving Percy alone because he needs an heir. That's what I thought. Then I go on to say, I think I regret shocking Marjorie now. I think Byron did it.
Oh, to your point there, I was like, are we just going to move on? The fact that Byron hit Marjorie?
Yeah.
We're just gonna...
He said something so like blasé about it too. Just like, I'd be more scared of her or something like that.
Excuse me, sir. Absolutely not. She's not the one out there hitting people. But he does say that. He does say, oh, I'd be more afraid of her.
Yeah. Like, I don't feel like that excuses you slapping somebody.
No.
Like what?
I needed... And then we were supposed to feel sympathy for Byron later when he's like, I just wanted the best for Percy. Yeah. I love the family. I'm like, I don't feel any sympathy for you, sir. Absolutely not.
No. He was an a-hole. He was abating an a-hole unknowingly.
Unknowingly.
I will say, Percy being made me feel betrayed.
Because she was becoming close with her cousin.
Yeah, like he was treating her so nice and was like there for her. And I don't know, it just made me think like, it was like she was finally getting family.
Oh, I know.
And then for one of them that she had forged such a close connection with, like I wish it would have been like one of the past, like, but at the same time, God, that twist was good.
It was so good. It was so good. And what is the lesson? Don't trust us. Don't.
In the great words of 303.
Right. Don't trust us. When she's and I feel like this is such a bad personality trait. But when they're like, oh my God, Percy's smiling and he's laughing. I didn't think he's gonna be the killer, but I was like,
especially killing his own sister. That was the one that was like,
I didn't think he was going to be the killer, but that did raise my eyebrows. I was like, maybe
sit by her bed and watch her die slowly. That's the part that I really struggled with. He was in there daily watching her die.
True psycho. All for what? He wanted his real mom. And he knew it was his real mom. That was the poison.
He wanted everybody. And it was like, to what? Run the gentleman's club?
Thank you. I was like, I really think... I don't understand your motivation here, Percy. Sorry.
How did you feel about Charlotte?
I actually wrote down, it's like point 20. I think Charlotte may have done it because they talk about her being in the woods and like foraging. So I thought maybe she got the belladonna berries, but that was like point 20 for me. I was like, I don't know if I trust Charlotte. Obviously wrong. Obviously it was Percy. But how did you feel about her?
I guess like it's not even like at the like murder mystery point. It's more just like, so she ditches her immediately when she has nobody. Then she like says that she's avoiding her because of scandal, but then she still blames her for things. Like I felt like Signa acted like she was like a friend, but I was trying to figure out at what point in time Charlotte acted like a friend.
Yeah, no, I don't think she did either. I think I think Signa pretty much had no one. And I think that's literally why they have literally no one. They have the romance with death. She has a romance with death because he also literally has no one. So they literally have no one.
A relationship of convenience.
Basically.
Okay, Elijah, I have this quote because it literally emotionally destroyed me. When Elijah says, so you see the problem, I cannot sleep when I hear her roaming about haunting these halls, and yet I cannot so much as shut my eyes in her absence, for I wonder if I will ever hear her again.
I know.
The like actual heartbreak I felt for Elijah losing his wife was like so sad. Once I realized, like once it left me being worried and I realized, no, he's really lovesick over his wife. I just like the heartstrings.
I know. I didn't feel as emotionally connected, but I did think that was really sweet. And I did actually ask my husband, like, would you feel this way if I...
How long would you let me haunt you before you move on?
Exactly. Like if I were to show up and haunt the house, like, are you devastated or are you like annoyed? You know,
if I'm crying, are you like, I miss her, or are you like, bitch, move on?
Time to
I'm
go.
trying to.
Time to go.
Time to wrap it up.
That's funny. Yeah. This is done. I'm warned. It's over.
You've
Goodbye.
lingered.
You've lingered. Be gone. Be gone. We did it. We did not finish this book, but we started it, and the Born of Blood and Ash. I super respected, I think like in chapter 1 where Sarah says she'd haunt Nyktos forever.
Yeah.
I would haunt, I'm haunting everyone I know. Knock on wood, I don't need to, but I'm haunting everyone I know.
Me.
You don't want me to visit you?
No, because I'll be nervous about like whose energy.
But I'm nice. I would just show up
know?
and be like, here, your dishes are going here, and I'm putting them away, and I'm a nice ghost.
How do I know you're not taking them out to attack me?
That's actually a really valid point. If you saw
like if you saw a plate just floating, you'd be like, holy shit.
That would actually be very scary. Very
Death
scary.
by aerial plate.
Very scary. That would be very. You're actually right. I'm sorry. Didn't want to put that mental image in anyone's head.
It's like you would have to. I don't even like. You could make my coffee in the morning, I guess.
Okay, there we go.
That would be cool.
That
like I'd wake up and it's ready, and I would be like, oh. You could learn because you have all this time on your hands. You could learn latte art.
I could.
You could leave me a cute little morning message. I don't know, just some ideas.
I know, that's a good idea. That is a really good idea.
I mean, I think his true form was Silas, just with a different face, right? Or no, it was
no, because he had like it was his face, but he had the
it was
silver
the
hair.
Yeah.
So I guess that's all he really changed. Okay, I have a question. Well, no, actually, I had a point I did not want to forget to say. I wrote down that what made me emotionally teary-eyed, like my moment of emotionally teary-eyed, that it was basically don't make yourself smaller or don't change parts of yourselves. So just that other people don't feel uncomfortable. Like it was Blythe. Blythe tells Signa, don't change part of yourselves. Don't make yourself smaller just because it may make other people feel uncomfortable. And I was like, oh, look at Blythe. Look at Blythe go.
Yeah, and I thought it was especially sweet because it was obvious that like she just molded to whatever just so that people would like either forget she was there or just let her live.
Right. Or like her.
Like nobody even knew her personality. She didn't know her personality. I think she says that at one point in time, like, I don't know. I'm hoping to figure that out. Or something like that.
Heartbreaking. Her journey in the beginning is extremely heartbreaking.
Him saying he couldn't stand by and watch how people treated her when she finally understands why she moved from home to home.
Yes. So sweet. So romantic.
He's been watching her for years and was like, no, none of this.
Exactly.
None of this.
In a protective way. He was watching her for years, but in a protective
way.
By
offing people.
Dark romance. Mafia romance.
Borderline.
Yeah, exactly. I loved that part too, though. I thought that was really like romantic.
Another emotional note from Death I had was him saying that he liked animals because they could see him.
Oh my God, I know.
Another heart. There were so many like little lines like that throughout this book where I was just like, my heart is not prepared for like all of these emotional one-liners you're singing me with.
Another, actually, that brings up a point. My other evidence I thought for them being the same person, Death and Silas, is the dog. Because when he says, oh, animals can see me, but the dog seems like really happy to see him, I'm like, does the dog know him?
Oh.
That was point 2 for me.
Yeah, and then she always said he was wearing fancy attire.
Yes.
I thought that was interesting. It was just hard because there was no real proof. They did a very good job of making it subtle enough that you consistently doubted that was real.
Yep. No, I completely agree. And I thought too, like for the big like reveal for me at the end of the book where the shooketh came from, I loved how we find out Silas's death. Like in that moment, you think you know, and then you're like, confirmation. It was just so good. So good.
I will say, where I'm at now is I have some things to say about the end of the book. So before we get to that, do you have any points you need to dive into?
I have one big point, but I think it's going to be tied into like what happens now. Like I think it's going to be tied into the ending. My big part is, and maybe this is where you're going to go too, is does she need to be with him? Because is she supposed to live out her human life and then join him?
Yepers. So that was my note, is I did not care for Death's goodbye. So I think we just go through this bullet point by bullet point. Okay.
Let's do it.
Number one bugaboo with his goodbye is out of nowhere. He's like, oh, by the way, like, you're not going to see me for a while.
Right.
I think it would be like great if you like lived and like did like your own thing. I'm going to do my thing. I'll see you when I see you. Catch you on the other side. Like, what? Is she supposed to like, is she supposed to get married?
That's what I was thinking.
Is she supposed to have children? Is she supposed to arrive on the other side and then suddenly be a reaper and forsake all of that, given whatever afterlife is? And in the meantime, are you just going to chill and watch?
Weird. It was weird. I didn't love that either. And I hope that they fix that in book 2 and 3, like where she joins him earlier or something. I don't know.
Because what is the point of her being like, what is she going to do? She like barely has any friends.
Yeah.
Literally, she's about to leave them anyways and live somewhere else. And then what? Be a spinster and do what? Like, I guess she never, I guess, and it's not to say like to be a spinster and never have that is the negative. It's more just like that was her priorities. That's obviously the world she's in, right? Because it's very historical, very like, oh, a woman needs a man to run all of her stuff, that sort of thing. But it's also like she obviously doesn't fit in there. He spends a significant chunk of this book convincing her that she needs to embrace these powers and all she is. And then he just flippy flops her, leaves her on the side of the living.
Yeah, I agree. It's wild. And I was just going to say that too. Like maybe the conflict in book 2 and 3 is like, she's like, no, maybe this is like some kind of like test conflict for their relationship. And he wants her to be, no, I'm 1000% ready to give up what I thought human life. And I want to step into my Reaper powers. Maybe he's testing her. No clue, no thought, but it bothered me too.
Yeah. And here's what I see happening. He was able to see her throughout this whole thing is because Blythe was walking the line of life and death, right? So I think what they're going to try to do here is every single book is going to be a different kind of mystery.
Which I do love mysteries.
Which will keep that veil open between her and death. And allow them to quote unquote date. But to me, he's already kind of like, again, that just felt very brush off. It felt very like, if you're not married when you're 40 and I'm not married when I'm 40, do you want to marry each other because we're besties? Like, it just didn't, like, after everything he did, because I loved him up until that point, I put aside his groomer energy. I put aside all of it. Shadow, question mark, all of it I put aside because I thought he was so romantic and sweet and honestly sad. Like I felt like he was lonely in a way that she was. Like I just loved it. But the way that they wrapped that relationship up, I am displeased.
Same. Especially because he says, like you said, all these really romantic, wonderful, saying he's waited forever for her.
Yeah.
She's the and then just to be like, okay, bye. I guess I'll see you when I see you. I won't see you as much though, so I won't be around. It just felt very.
I don't want yourself to see me for 5 minutes.
Exactly. Very honestly triggering of past high school boyfriends where they say all these things and then they're like, oh, but I want to keep it casual.
Yeah.
Like,
or even like, just like he's built now a relationship on his terms without being candid about what that relationship actually looks like up front.
Maybe.
Like it felt like what I didn't like is that the initiation of this relationship kind of was surrounded around sex without conversation about what it meant and what it was, in my opinion. And especially then take that step with her and not give her some of that information up front.
And then immediately back off.
Yeah. Because I guess they can still talk. So that's good. Like she could talk to him regularly. It just seems like we could have found a better solution to this long distance dating we're going to do for 100 years.
Right.
80-year long distance relationship.
against dimensions or whatever, I guess. Yeah, that's a really valid point. I did not enjoy that ending as well. Again, I'm hoping in book 2 or 3 he comes out, he explains his reasoning. It's a good reason. Again, we forgive him and we don't go through this, because what I would not like to see is that we've built this will they won't they. We almost felt like we were maybe going to get a love triangle. Obviously no, same guy. But then we'd build this will they won't they. Then they do it. And then now we're almost back to will they, won't they again?
Yeah. And like I said, it's just the terms didn't make sense. It was just like, actually, I'm a little busy. This year. Maybe swing by a morgue next year. See if I can't wave on by.
It doesn't seem very soulmate-esque.
No. Yes.
Doesn't seem it.
So actually, are you comfortable doing a rating here? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm going to break our own podcast rules because it's our podcast.
Yeah.
I'm going to give 2 separate star ratings. Okay.
Okay.
I think the book, the plot, and the story was a 5-star plot story. Yes. I think the romance was a 3-star romance.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I'm going to double down what you said. 5-star for the plot. Intriguing or mystery, like the whole vibe.
Style.
Yes, exactly. Very spooky, but like Halloween. Loved it. 5-star. Yeah. The romance, I would even say like 2.75, because even before we get there, I thought that it was going to be very romantic with Death, but a really large part of me was even rooting for Silas.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, I don't know. The romance left some to be desired. So I'll say 2.75 for romance.
And actually, that's a great point, because I do agree with it. I actually thought the chemistry she had with Death was when he was Silas.
Same. Because it
felt like he was coming on aggressively, I guess.
Too strong, too soon for Death, I think.
Because also Death persona.
Yes. And I would have loved to seen, I love the book. I would have loved to have seen more will they, won't they banter between the two of them. I would have loved to seen that drawn out longer. But then when we get to resolution, we're resolved. We're not backing off.
I honestly just think you should have told her he was Silas from the beginning too. Like once they started kind of working together, you should have been like, by the way, I'm Silas. So
yeah. So cool beans. It's just me. And then he says, this isn't how I wanted you to know or whatever. But it's like,
that's the most annoying thing that somebody can say when there's an unveil. And it's just I didn't want you to learn like this. Oh, almost like you had complete control over how I learned about this.
You could have told me. Exactly. I
imagine knowing that whole time and then telling me that. You had some choices.
No, I agree. I wrote down beforehand, I thought that as we go into spice ratings, I thought the spice between her and Death was really rushed. Because I was like, but I just felt like, whoa, make out a little bit.
Yeah, he went from like, that's what was strange for me, is it was like, all of a sudden it was like their tension, and then it was like, well, it wasn't like any baby steps, especially knowing she's new to that. I don't know, it just seems strange to me that Death was just like, touch my shadow dick.
Just touch your shadows. Also, first time on the forest floor. Come on, Death. You've been waiting a million years for her. Can't find a bed. Take her to your house on the forest floor.
You know what I wonder too? You know what I actually thought about in the forest floor scene?
What?
You have like, does he finish?
Yes.
Does he just like
shadow out?
Like they didn't imply that he finished, for lack of a better way to put it. And so I was like, does he finish? Was this just like a fun time for him? Like I don't
know about that too. How does this work? And then also, like, since they're both reapers, can they have reaper children? Did Signa think of all of the potential repercussions as Marjorie told her to think of? Because a chapter or two before, Marjorie's literally like, don't believe everything men tell you. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. Yeah. 2 chapters or a chapter later, she's on a forest floor.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see where it goes.
To me, as if that progression had happened with Silas,
it felt more normal.
Yeah. And it's got nothing to do with him being like a shadow or him being Death. It has all to do with like the conversations they were having, the way the tension was, the actual physical touches. I don't know. There was just, you're right.
I completely agree.
It went from like, hey, it's hot in here, to here's a
Forest
forest
floor.
floor.
No, that's
Also,
hilarious.
Knowing that she was the only one who could see him, like, think of how crazy she probably looked all the time. Like, what did she look like when they were paying?
What did she look like?
Like, is she just like does she look like she's performing in front of a CGI screen?
Maybe. Oh my goodness, that's a really good question. I didn't even.
It feels like Super Blues. Blues is just her talking to a green screen.
Someone's just strolling through the woods. You would be so disturbed. You'd be like, okay, I'm really going the other way. Absolutely not. No.
There's a girl naked writhing, having it work alone in the woods. Y'all should see this. Is still ruined? I don't know.
Oh my god, that's what I thought of too. Is she still ruined? Because we can't confirm there's a penne pasta.
Right.
We can't confirm.
The other thing is, like, she doesn't talk about pain or anything. So, like,
no.
Did
it happen?
Did Shattuck go through? And so, like, she's still.
Oh, I hate that word, but yeah,
can still get married because she's not like
in their 1800s historical. Whenever this takes place, she would still be good to go if she was intact,
right?
Which is such a rough way to say that, but
yeah,
it's what they did. You know, it's what they cared about or whatever. But
I'm just saying, I need, like, maybe fan art.
Yeah. I need a diagram.
You have a Patreon?
I need you to explain this to me. What actually ended up happening on the forest floor?
Need the explicit Wattpad version, thank you.
Right, exactly. So with that, how would you rate Spice?
Like 0.5.
Yeah,
I mean, again, I had to reread the strongly worded paragraph to be like, wait, did they do it or did they?
Or did they not?
Did you guys, like, do it, or did you, like, kind of do it?
Did you? Oh my goodness!
Like, when you say hooked up, do you remember that? Like that?
Yes. Like,
when
did you?
Like, hooked up? You mean like?
Like, what do you mean by that? What is that from? I'm trying to remember that. I thought it was in a movie. But yes. So,
what?
Like, someone saying in a movie, I could be crazy and misremembering things. When you say you hooked up, did you hook up? I thought that was from a movie.
I mean, maybe. I just felt like that was like a thing people said.
It was like you had to just
because
describe your level.
It was different, and so you'd be like, "Oh my god, like, did you
banging?
Like, kiss? Did you like how many bases?"
Yeah. Also, another point that I wrote down, if we're going to go back to kind of the beginning, again, I did find Death very romantic, but I was rooting for Silas in parts. I would have liked to have seen her maybe mid-20s. If you've been watching her for a really long time, and then you kind of wait till she's 19 to forest floor her, then I feel like you couldn't have waited till she's like 25.
Well,
like,
I mean, the opportunity didn't present itself. Also, she kind of kept chasing him down in a way that she hadn't before. He always kind of did keep her at arm's length. So she was the one who initiated that further. Like, even as Silas, he tried to keep most of his distance until we found out about the potential. That's when she, like, so in a way, I think that she pushed along their relationship, not necessarily like in a advancing way, but in like a friendship conversation being like, a reason that there was interaction.
I agree. So I have a question for you. If you had to choose who you're banging on the forest floor, are you choosing Death or are you choosing Silas?
Silas, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
same.
Like I said, Death just gave me like bad vibes. Like, the way you described is actually perfect. Like older than you, high school boyfriend. Where you're just like,
and then
he loves me. He doesn't.
Yes, I know. That's why when I was reading that, because at first I was like so invested in the middle there. I was like, oh, so romantic. I'm excited to see this.
Yeah.
And then that happened, and I was like, I feel like I am 17.
Yeah.
And you just dated me.
Bait and switched me.
Switched me. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually really glad you felt that way, because I like closed the book and I was like, look, man.
Right. Like, what? You had such good build up. Where did this go?
That's just like, I cannot rate them together because it's not fair to discount the story for what I felt lacking in a relationship. Because again, it being book 1, there's always room for more, right? Like, here's what I could see being the thing, right? I just wanted you to live a whole life.
Probably.
And I was willing to wait and watch you have children and have a husband. But you really do want to be with me. It's Edward. It's Edward. Do you actually want to be a vampire? No.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're right.
Let's speed it up.
There's such a resurgence of this in YA. Why is this such a resurgence coming back? Not YA coming back, but like these
themes.
Yes, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean, I do feel like modern contemporary does it too. Like a lot of leave you for your own good. True. What I like is I do feel like adult fantasy doesn't really do that. They usually do like stay away until they've made a decision kind of thing.
Right.
I think what I struggle with a theme like this is it makes it feel like daddy knows best, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah.
And I don't like putting I don't like putting daddy knows best energy on my movie.
No, me neither. Doesn't tickle my fancies for male leads.
Doesn't tickle your male?
No, it doesn't tickle my male. It doesn't tickle my male lead fancies.
How many times do you think she died?
Oof, at least 5.
I'm actually thinking 10. I'm talking bookend to bookend.
Oh.
She died. She fell down the stairs.
True.
She had the poison at first when she was an infant.
Mm-hmm.
She had something else happen when she was a kid. Then she did the forced belladonna the first time. And then she did the forced belladonna to get through the forest. And then she was just doing belladonna was like a choice actually.
It was. She was just
there's no in this world. She just belladonna.
She's like,
I'm just trying to have my body feel light, man. I've got all these powers, dude. It's real sick.
That's true. That is hilarious. That's so funny.
I guess it's more like than it is. Like,
I guess so. And apparently sounds pretty terrible. Like when she was describing what happens to her, I'm like, man, you gotta stop doing this to yourself. I was like,
literally is drugs. Do you see how you're looking now? It's not feeling good, is it? We don't feel
good. We don't feel good. We don't want to do that. So maybe that's why, I don't know. Maybe that ties into why Death says what he does. I don't want you doing this, but still.
Yeah, like not to see me. Like she's fine.
Yeah, obviously she bounces right back. So this
also,
is fine.
He said if he touched her. So I guess can he just not like appear near her? I guess is the limit.
They can talk now. So why can't she just be like, hey, I'd like to see you? Why can't he be like, hey, I'd like to see you when you date
I don't think
people?
He can physically come to her unless Death is nearby.
Oh, got it.
It's like a witching hour. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Makes sense. Okay. So then, that makes sense. So that makes sense to what you said earlier, obviously. Okay. All clicking for me. It's going to be future mysteries. Were you shocked at the end, the introduction of the new character, Fate?
Yeah, because here's the thing. When I saw Fate, I was like, he's got me a little mad.
Oh, yeah, they're messing up.
Death warned her multiple times, you're going to make Fate mad. And he even says, like, yeah, I've met him. You don't want to do that. So I think might be bros, like a little bit.
I think so.
And number 2, I think Fate is like mad. So he's like, figure it out. How about that?
I agree. I think there's going to be some repercussions of actions coming up for her.
And I think, what's crazy to me too, can we just talk about like the huge elephant in the room, which is who the fuck is going to these parties? People are always getting poisoned at their house. Stop going to the house.
And who keeps poisoning everybody?
If every time I went to your house, somebody dropped dead,
stop going.
Swinging by. You can come to my house. If you start being sketchy at my house, you cannot come.
Exactly. Like this is a little bit too many times. But I know she's blamed for it. But in this book, in this high society, in the book, people are dropping dead of poison left and right. Yeah. Her entire family and all guests at the beginning. We still never find out who did that. 2, then all these family members, and then 3 at a party they throw.
Yeah,
there's a lot of poison.
Yeah, and always at a party. Like, again, if somebody was dropping dead at every party, you would not be swinging by that party. I don't know about you, but I like my parties to have, like, good vibes.
Same. I want no death.
Yeah, I
No
want to
judge.
have a little drinky drink. I want to have a little funsies. If I think my drinky drink has poison in it, I'm not having
drinking.
funsies.
Yeah. Nope, not a good time.
Big correlation between no poison and fun.
1000% agree. 1000% agree. You're like, I don't want this.
Okay.
Okay.
There's a fire in the barn.
Oof.
Who would you rather save? Byron or Percy?
Oh, geez. This might be the only fire in the barn where just take them. Just fire.
You have to save somebody.
Okay, I have to save someone.
you're just like, honestly, I didn't even see a fire.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm blind in one eye. That meme.
I haven't seen it. Actually, I'm blind both eyes. I can't see anything.
I actually kind of cannot see out of both of them, so I'd be like, I didn't see the fire. I'm sorry.
Oh, there was a fire?
Let me know. Okay, this is where my thought's gonna go. I would save Byron actually, because I do feel like this is gonna sound very mean, but I feel like Percy, he may be a serial killer, and I think that while Byron did unfortunately hit Marjorie in Violence Against Women, he's terrible, and I think he's terrible. Percy, I think there may be something going on, and there may be something dark, and he might be a serial killer.
That's what I thought. I thought sociopath. Is that the right word?
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Where you're just like, you know what I mean? Think everything needs to. Yeah, he was trying to manhandle that.
And for, again, like, what the whole point was the gambling hall? The gentleman's club? Anyways.
Oh my God. I loved when she was like, okay, like, is there a women's club? And he was like, no.
I know.
He
I
was
love
like,
that
okay,
too.
well, where? And he was like, no. And she was like, it just seems like you're missing out on money.
And she was like, I literally just gossip for free.
Yeah. Like, oh my God. Yeah. She was like, honestly, like you could charge for this kind of gossip. Can we talk about how bad is her name? Eliza?
Yes, the friend. Well, her
Eliza
kind of not friend. Yeah.
Needs a good wedgie, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
A good scandal.
a good fall from social graces.
Yeah.
A good fall from social graces.
Which was interesting because she was kind of the whole time, but then she was like, here, take my super eligible cousin.
Yeah.
Like low-key, also good wingman.
Yeah. Or she wants the money.
Yeah. Well, bad time, but bad wingman. I mean, out of all the bachelors she had,
she picked a good one. She tried to bring her best bachelor.
Yeah, she did. So
and that's very good, valid point. Another part I wrote down that I love Signa in is that when he's like at death, when he reveals he's Silas in death, is like, I'm sure you have so many questions, but if you want time, you can ask me later. And she's like, no, I'm going to ask him right now. Thanks. Like she was like, no, I'm asking.
Yeah. Like, oh, okay.
Like,
no, have a sit.
We're not going to do this whole, if you need some time. I really appreciated that she was like, no, of course I'm going to ask them. Like, I like that.
Can we talk about, we didn't talk about this when we were talking about Charlotte. I thought that it was also really yucky that she told her that she was mad at her for debuting the same year as her.
Oh, yeah.
And how she was going to take all of her choices. Like, that's yucky. Like, if you have the same kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that was, again, Charlotte just wasn't her friend. I don't think was a good character.
I don't think she had a singular friend other than Blythe.
No.
And Percy, that's why that hurt my feelings.
I know. Her friendship with Blythe was actually very sweet and endearing and touching. Like, that was really.
But I felt the same about it with Percy. I thought she had a very endearing, sweet relationship with him.
I don't know why I didn't feel the same.
Really?
Because again, don't trust.
He would show up and like dance with her and like make fun of her. True. And I don't know, it just came across as like brotherly prodding. I don't know. I just felt like she lost a brother.
Well, she kind of did. Like in addition, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, she lost everybody.
She lost everybody.
Right, so you heard it here first through the grapevine. If you like what you heard, you can join us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Sippin' on Spice Podcast. We release episodes every Wednesday. If you're ever interested in what's upcoming, you can find that on our social media, both Instagram and TikTok. We post all of our upcoming releases and what books we have planned, so you can read along with us.
Yep, absolutely. And we're also going to be releasing recap videos out on YouTube of different books that we've read primarily before another big release, where we will recap what happens in the books beforehand. You can check those out on YouTube. And thank you so much for hanging out with us, and cheers.
Cheers.